Hey everybody, this is Kenny, and this is Toby, and this is Rosie. And Casey taught me a long time ago that if you want people to watch a video, you should include puppies and babies. So, right now I have my puppy Toby and my grandbaby Rosie. Say hello! Say hi! Okay. So anyway, I did have a few things I wanted to say, so I'm going to go ahead and hope that you keep on watching, but I'm going to go ahead and release the dog and release the grandbaby. But in all seriousness, I just want to say that last Thursday was an unbelievable, unprecedented, and by unprecedented I mean unprecedented day. In my lifetime, and I'm sure many other people's lifetime that are even a tad bit older than me. Things changed so quickly. I mean, it wasn't by the day, it was by the hour. And the governor made a decision, and we as a church decided to submit to our authorities, show respect to our authorities, which now that we have some time, because maybe you're not as busy as you've been, you could read Romans chapter 13, verses 1 through 7, that gives a biblical precedent, you could say a mandate, for respecting our authorities that God placed in the positions they did. And whether you agree with our leaders all the time or not, it doesn't seem like it's up to debate. And the decision that they've requested that we make was a tough one. And we as a church had to make a very difficult decision as well. We made this decision with a lot of prayer, a lot of discussion, and we have decided to close our campus of all activities for the next 3 weeks to kind of align with the school break. And we're going to allow small groups to continue to meet at people's homes, but that's going to be really left up to the discretion of each small group leader and those in the small groups. Now I want to say, again, this decision was not made lightly, and this is also a decision that quite honestly was not made out of fear, and it was not made out of a lack of faith. This was a decision that was made out of love, and this was a decision that was made out of respect to those who are trying to get a handle of this. And look, I hope it does not become as bad as people are projecting or saying. And honestly, I think I would just go ahead and insert right now. If you want to get your news, actually go to the cdc.gov website. Not Fox, not MSNBC, not CNN, not all that. Go actually to the people who are working on this. And they can give you day-by-day updates and day-by-day advice on how to handle it. But again, I go back to saying that this was a tough decision. Look, I love our church. I love gathering together. I don't like not assembling together, as it talks about us doing in Hebrews. But I also believe that this is an unprecedented time. So we've made this decision mainly because we know a lot of people don't like to miss church if it's available. And so we have people that attend our church. We have children who have asthma. We have children who have respiratory issues. We have elderly people that have lower immune system or just going through some stuff. We have people who are fighting cancer, who maybe have leukemia, where their blood cell counts are low. And we just don't want to risk putting people into a position. I don't want to risk it. I don't want to be the lead pastor that someone with good intentions hands them a cup of coffee or a communion cup. We do all of ours individual with communion cup packages, or forgets and hugs or shakes hands. So we have just decided for now to cancel all activities. I also want to say, if you're still watching, this is not the time as Christ followers to make judgment calls on churches that are making decisions right now. This is not the time to make this the litmus test over whether a church has faith or is being led by fear. Every church leadership is struggling with making the right decision because every church leadership loves God and loves people, which is kind of the great commandment. So there will be some churches that will still continue to gather, maybe to have prayer or maybe to have worship services. But I guarantee you, if they love God, love people, as I know they do, they're going to still have some stipulations, like don't shake hands, stay away from each other, and things like that. And then there are going to be churches like ours that has decided not to meet. But this should not be a time that believers make this some sort of us against them. We're more spiritual than them. They're more afraid than us. We're more faithful. This is not the time, folks. Jesus in John 17, and again, since a lot of us have the time now on our hands, you ought to read it. He actually talks about praying for unity of the believers. This is one time, whether you like the decisions that one church is making or not making, this is a time, Christ followers, that we show unity. This is also would be a good time to spend a lot more time praying than scrolling Facebook, social media, Twitter. Now, don't get me wrong, that's the way a lot of these churches, ours included, are going to be communicating with you. But rather than pursuing what everybody has to say with the coronavirus and reading all of this stuff that's flying at us, if we could just spend as much time praying as we are worrying, then I think that would have a lot to say with how this works personally and globally. I've heard that the president, not from him directly, by the way, we're not that tight, but I have heard that the president has actually asked that we make tomorrow a day of prayer. So since many people are not going to be able to get out and go to churches because a lot of churches have decided to suspend or postpone their activities, he's asked for us to pray. So this would be a good time to spend time praying. This would be a good time to spend time in the Word. So again, our decision as a church was to postpone the services, but not to cancel it completely, because we are planning on doing a live online service, not tomorrow, because quite honestly, this moved so fast that while we were already planning on ordering equipment to do live services before COVID-19 even hit our vocabulary, we were planning on ordering this equipment, but it didn't get in time. So next week we will have a live online service. There will be me on the stage as well as our band, basically doing everything that we've done with people in the room, doing it live so that you can gather together with your family, maybe even with your small group, and have some donuts and coffee and watch our online service together. Look, one of the things that you can do right now, besides panic, is to pray. And another thing is watch out for your neighbors. I mean, you know, Casey always reminds me that one of the things she remembered me saying was the old thing where this is the church, this is the steeple, open the doors and see all the people. And the reality is that's wrong. This is a church building, this is a steeple, open up the doors, and what you see is the actual church. The church is the people. So just because we can't gather in a localized location for the next couple weeks does not mean church has been canceled, because church is the people. No one's telling you not to read the Word. No one's telling you to not look out for your neighbor. We all know you've got lots of toilet paper and maybe your neighbor doesn't. Go knock on the door, back away about 6 to 8 feet and say, hey, do you need a roll of toilet paper, a casserole, or anything else? Can I run to the store for you? Those of you who want to run to church this week, maybe you can instead run to the store for your neighbor. There are things that we can do as Christ followers that actually look like the church. And so I would just encourage you to look for ways to actually love your neighbor. As far as tomorrow goes, I'll probably get on here and just give a thought or two, maybe even a little bit of a devotional thought based on our Famous Last Words series, which I hope wasn't really the famous last words, but I will do that. But let me just give you a couple recommendations, actually a few. When I go to church, if it's not my church, there are a lot of times I will watch Life Church TV, which is led by Craig Rochelle in Oklahoma. I will watch Matt Chandler at Village Church. I will watch Andy Stanley at North Point. Those are places I go, and all of them will have online services live tomorrow. I also would say, since you're staying at home, you may want to take a road trip to some of my pastor buddies. Chad Goucher out in Arizona is going to be having a message on Refinery Church in Goodyear, Arizona. Nate Bush with Albuquerque, New Mexico, New City Church will be going online. My buddy Matt Mahaffey in Pittsburgh is going online. They actually are going to also have a family-friendly service for families, which I think is a really cool idea. And then my buddy Scott Pugh up in Mentor, Ohio, Velocity Church, is going to be doing that. So go check out some of my buddies, their church services that they're going to be having online. Or you can look at some of the churches online in our region. Residence Church is going to be having an online service. Aaron Kirk, Jason Ramo, I know at Eastside Christian Church, they're going online. And of course, Crossroads, Brian Tome, probably have heard of him, and Greg McElfresh over at East Campus, I know they're going online. And so them, as well as many other churches, are going to be online tomorrow live. And just think of that. Think of the idea that tomorrow morning from about 9 until, I don't know, 3 or 4 o'clock based on the time zone, Facebook is going to be filled. Your news feed is going to be filled with churches having services. I don't know about you, but that is a silver lining to this. So be sure and tune into them. And then next week, if you want to come back and hear this guy and your worship team, we will be going live next Sunday. We will give you more details as that comes available. Again, I know this is long. I know this is rambling, but you might have to get used to that at least for the next few weeks. So again, man, this is not the time to criticize. This is not the time to judge. This is a time to pray for your leaders, whether they are your government leaders, whether they're the leaders of the CDC or WHO, or the state departments of health through the 50 states of the United States of America and some of our territories. This is not the time to second guess pastors and leadership, because whether they are meeting or whether they are not meeting, they are not making those decisions lightly, and they are not making those decisions without a lot of prayer. So come on, people, especially if you call yourself a follower of Christ, get in the Word. No one is saying to social distance yourself from God. As a matter of fact, this might be a good time to get a little closer to the Word, a little closer to Him in prayer, and maybe for the first time in a long time, get a little closer to your neighbors on a Sunday morning. So that's all I got for now. And again, thanks for tuning in, and apologize for rambling. Apologizing that I didn't keep the babies and puppies a little longer, because you probably would have watched the entire thing. But otherwise, I promise you, Crossing Church, and anybody that's watching, friends, family, other pastors, man, I love you. I'm with you in this, and I'm praying for you. And you know what? God is in control. He is on the throne. We are good. All right? If you are a follower of His, then look hopeful, because we have a hope in Jesus Christ. So look hopeful, show love, show the light, and bring a little peace while you're at it, folks. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say. Peace out. Love you.